Smile 2 was a film that I had no interest in seeing. I thought the first one just didn't look good, never even saw that one. And the trailers just didn't really do it for me for this film. But please do not make the same mistake I did. Do not sleep on this film.
You're not in control! I am! I need to stop it, but I don't know how.
So Smile 2 is a sequel to Smile 1, which focuses on a pop star named Sky, who, after witnessing a very horrific suicide, begins to see very demonic, freaky images of smiling freaks and among other things that the trailer doesn't spoil at all. So yeah, never saw the first movie. I just thought the first one looked lame. I didn't really hear good things about it at the time, and I really was dragging my feet to see this film because it just didn't look appeasing to me at all. But it was getting some buzz. I thought it'd be good for the channel. So okay, you know, watch it. Let me give it a try. I got my expectations low. Boy, was I wrong. Before I really get to the review, I think you can watch this movie without actually seeing the first one. It definitely starts off in a way where it expects you to have seen the first film, but you won't be lost if anything. It kind of puts you so much in the middle of the action that's going to pique your interest. And I think the second film does a good job of explaining sort of the mythos and the rules of the first film. But yeah, definitely one of the scariest films I've seen this year so far. I think another solid entry for horror films this year. And, you know, I think it's especially due to how cinematography and editing works in this film. The film really makes use of camera movement as well as eye tracing within editing to really lock you in against your will into the perspective of the character Sky. It really forces you to look at these images and you can't look away at all. But it's also like just what the jump scares are in themselves. It's actually really frightening images, stuff, you know, out of stuff of nightmares, man. And on top of that, it's just a pretty good story, honestly. Even if you take the scares away out of this film, all the horror aspects, it's a pretty good film about a pop star and seeing how the music industry is just causing her so much mental anguish and causing other people mental anguish working in a type of industry like that, where all eyes on you and everyone's just kind of using you. You know, what having that type of pressure on you can do to your mental health. I thought it was really well done in this film. Like I said, even if you separate that from the horror aspects of this movie, but the horror aspects I think really complement the themes and the story of this movie. And all that is amplified and compounded by Naomi Scott's performance. She was getting a lot of great reviews in this film, saying how like this is probably one of her best performances and also probably one of the best performances this year. And you know, when I was watching the movie in the first half, she was good, but I was like, I feel like they're kind of overhyping it. But I mean, there comes a certain point within the narrative though, I was like, wow, okay, it really demands a very visceral, heavy performance with depth, and I think she totally delivered. I think she was really good in this film. I think she really glued all the pieces together in this film through her performance. I guess my only critiques of this film is that I think some of the jump scares were cheap, which I think it's gonna come with the territory, but there were times in the movie where it was starting to feel like very formulaic and predictable, where you know, I was seeing it happen like 5 minutes before it happened. Like it was just kind of like that obvious. I was like, okay, like we're due for a jump scare right now. I already know where this is going. It kind of gets a little repetitive at times. I wish there were some more curveballs in the middle of the film. There definitely are in the end, but I think throughout the middle, I could have done with more variety in terms of like how it's doing its scares or even like narratively speaking. I also think that like some of the themes in this film were kind of like not really well executed, or at least I think the director wanted to say something on certain topics, but then in the end doesn't really give it a final proclamation of like what we're supposed to be taking away from this, because there are two sets of themes in this film. There's first the themes of you know, the pressure of the industry and whatnot, and how people can like use you and are just depending on you. That was executed incredibly well, no complaints there. But I think there's also another subset of themes in this film that the director is clearly trying to illustrate. That's more about trauma, and it's also more about you know, how do you overcome that, and also how do you overcome your own demons, your own flaws? Can you even redeem yourselves from your past sins? And it was very interesting, and I think just the way the film ends, it kind of just throws all that way out the window. Unless the ending is, without giving any spoilers, unless the ending is supposed to be you can never get over that, which I don't think that's what the director was trying to say, but there's just a pivotal part in the film where the character really has agency that can overcome those challenges, because it seems like it's going towards that, about you can redeem yourself, and you can get over your trauma and your mental anguish, and then there's a twist that kind of takes away that character's agency. It's just like, no, it was kind of all for nothing. Great for a horror film, but I think for with those themes and morals that the director was trying to speak on, it kind of like really flattened the impact, I thought. And then lastly, I mean, I don't know, I was kind of hesitant to bring this up. I feel like I should just be honest with myself. I'm giving you guys my opinions on films, but one of the supporting actresses, probably one of the worst performances I've seen all year, or at least in recent memory. She was so monotone and lifeless, and she was in really like horrific situations that it would have called for a visceral reaction, but she kind of just speaks in a monotone, reading off cue cards manner, similar to me in these videos, actually. I'll own it. And listen, unless the director was intentionally wanting this character to like be a realistic depiction of a Gen Z girl on SSRIs, I guess A plus. I think it was an authentic depiction. It was kind of distracting. It was especially distracting when she's with Naomi Scott, who's like acting circles around her. It's almost like the equivalent of like a hot girl bringing her ugly friends to the club to make herself look better. That's what I felt like was going on here at this film. I don't be too much of a jerk, but yeah, I was like, oh Jesus, like this is rough, and this is kind of like really killing the mood here in this film. But that's that. But besides all that, I think Smile 2 is a solid horror entry in the 2024. Like I said, great directing, film techniques, as well as just really good visual scares and interesting themes. I'm gonna give Smile 2 4 stars out of 5. I still prefer Terrifier over this. I think Terrifier was a much more ambitious film, especially in a very saturated subgenre. And then of course you have Longlegs, which I don't think Longlegs is actually as scary as Smile 2, but I think it was doing something a little bit more creative in the filmmaking aspect, a little bit more artistic, which I really appreciated and struck a chord with me. But Smile 2 is still a must-see for, I think, a mainstream audience, but also horror enthusiasts.
Now it's latched onto you.
Stop smiling at me!
Thanks for watching, guys. Have you seen Smile 2 yet? And have you seen the first one? Hit the like button and subscribe. I'll see you next time.